So today on worksheet 1C, we're going to be doing some review towards the end, but in the beginning of this, we're going to be talking about expressions, okay? So number 1 says, you wake up in the morning to find 2 inches of snow on the ground. The snow has been falling at a constant rate of 1/2 inch per hour. Write an algebraic expression for the amount of snow on the ground after n hours. So does anyone know what an expression is? And if you're at home, remember you can just always unmute yourself if you do know, or you can type it in the chat. But what an algebraic expression is it contains variables, coefficients, numbers, operations, but it does not contain an equal sign. So the expression we're going to come up with is some way for us to figure out how much snow is on the ground. So what do we know for a fact? We know for a fact that there is already 2 inches of snow. And then we also know it's falling at a rate of 1/2 inch. So for my expression, I'm going to lead us with this one so that you guys can practice one on your own afterwards. What this is saying is that we have 1/2 times n plus 2. So n is our hours. Each hour, which is n, we are getting 1/2 inch. So 1/2 times n will tell me how many more inches I'm getting. Plus we have the original 2 inches that was on the ground. So once we have our expression, part B says, let's use that expression to figure out after 2 hours how much snow is on the ground. So does anyone have an idea of what we're going to do to determine that? Participation is good. It's okay if you're wrong, right? Participating is helpful though. What do you think we're going to do? It says use our above expression for 2 hours. And if you're at home, just unmute yourself.
Four inches.
And how did you do that? Tell us what you're going to do. That's what we want to know.
You want to multiply. So there's 2 inches after, 1/2 inch per hour. So that would be another, you said in another 1 hour, right?
After 2 hours,
mm-hmm.
How much snow will there
2
be?
Inches.
2 inches. So let's take a look. Does everybody understand here that n represents our hours? So we have 2 hours. What that means is where I saw n, I'm going to plug this 2 in. So it's 1/2 inch per hour, but it's been 2 hours. So I'm going to plug 2 in for that n value, plus the original 2 inches that were already on the ground. Okay, so once I have my expression, we know n represented the hours. Now, however many hours, that's what we plug in for n. And then we simplify. Well, how do I multiply 1/2 times 2? Remember, this is really like 2 over 1. And we have 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2. And then we simplify that. 2 over 2 is just 1. So 1 plus 2 gives me 3. So what does that mean? After 2 hours, there will be 3 inches. Okay? So for part C, it's asking us how much snow after 4 hours. So what are we going to do with that 4? We're going to plug it in for n. So we're going to have 1/2 times 4 hours plus the 2 inches that we already had. And again, how do I multiply that? make that 4 become a 4 over 1, and we multiply right across. So 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. Then we bring down the plus 2. We're going to divide that. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we'll have 2 plus 2, which gives us 4. So after 4 hours, there will be 4 inches. Okay, so we want to come up with an expression based upon the given information, and then when we evaluate that expression, we're substituting whichever number they're giving us in for the variable. So everybody take a moment to read example 2, and I want you to try to come up with an expression. Okay, so similarly like we did above, we're trying to find an expression for the total amount of money you have after n days. So take a moment to think about that, and then let's hear from some folks. Okay, does anyone have any ideas of what my expression could be? Don't be afraid to speak, okay? Because this will help you learn. If you participate, it's going to help you be more engaged. So if we look here, we received $60 for your birthday. Now you're spending money at the rate of $3 per day. Okay, so we have 60, but we're spending. So what's happening to your money? Are you getting more money or are you losing money? Losing, exactly, because we're spending it. What operation do you think that means we're going to have? Are we going to have adding, subtracting? What do you think?
Subtracting.
Yeah, subtracting. If we're losing, we're going to be subtracting. So what's happening in this scenario is we have $60, but we are losing $3 per day. Remember, they said N is our days. So we had $60, but we're losing, so subtraction, $3 per day. Okay? Did anyone have that and just wasn't confident? Did anyone figure that out? I can't see if you're raising your hands, but if you did, good job. All right, so now for part B, use the expression to figure out how much money you have after 1 day. So we're going to take that 1 and plug it in for N. So we'll have 60 minus 3 times 1 day. Use our order of operations, right? We have to multiply first. So this will be 60 minus 3, and 60 minus 3 is 57. So after 1 day, you will have $57. So use that dollar symbol. Okay? Our next one, use the expression after 2 days. So very straightforward. We're going to use our expression from part A, 60 minus 3n, but instead of n, we're plugging in a 2 for 2 days. Perform order of operations. So 60 minus 6, and that gives us 54. So after 2 days, you will have $54. Okay, and we could go on and on, right? I could say how much after 15 days, and I would plug 15 in for that. Does anyone have any questions with that? I'm going to pull up your videos and just kind of look real quick. That's how we're doing. Okay. All right. So let's keep going down then. Our next part that we're going to talk about are exponents, okay? Hopefully you have all seen exponents before, but let's take a look at this little notes part. We have some expression that is saying 3 to the 7th power. That 3, that is the larger number, we call that the base. Then the little number is the exponent, or the power. So what does 3 to the 7th mean? It means to multiply 3 7 times. So when I say write it as a power, we mean to list it out with multiplication. So let's do number 3 together. When I say let's write 2 to the 5th as a product, we're going to write that as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 5 times, because it was raised to the 5th power. You don't actually have to solve it. If you want to solve it, go ahead. But we're just rewriting the power as a product. Okay? Take a moment and do 4, 5, and 6, and then we'll come back and put them up to double check. So I'm going to walk around the room to check how they're doing, and you guys at home work on 4, 5, and 6, and then we'll put them up. Okay? So take 1 minute for that. All right, so as I looked around the room, they were doing a great job with this. Hopefully at home you are as well. So let's take a look. For number 4, it's saying 7 to the 3rd power. So we're going to multiply 7 3 times. Notice here, folks, I'm going to do it. Sorry, that's the bell for first lunch. I'm going to do 2 things here, but notice this. Notice I have a dot, right? That means we're multiplying. Don't put any plus signs or anything like that. The other way I could write this is using parentheses. Either of these 2 ways are acceptable. We are trying to avoid, I'll write it up here, we're trying to avoid this. Does anyone know why we're trying to avoid that? Louder. Exactly. Those X's look like variables, right? We're using X's for variables. So we're trying to get away from using an X as a multiplication symbol. Also, don't just put this, because what does that look like? 777, right? So make sure you either have the dots or using the parentheses, okay? All right, number 5, what we want to do here is, this is a great time to use the parentheses, because we want to make sure that that negative symbol doesn't start to look like we're subtracting. So by having the parentheses, we can clearly see we're multiplying back-to-back numbers. So whenever you have negative symbols, I would definitely encourage you to keep it with parentheses, okay? And 6 times there. And number 6, same thing. I would encourage you to keep the parentheses. And we're going to write -9 4 times. Okay? Any questions? Just chime in at home if you do. All right, so now we're going to do the opposite, which you may have already jumped to. And so this time around, it's listed out, so we're going to write it as a power. So my base, we'll use the vocabulary, is 100. And the exponent, 100, is being multiplied 3 times, so it's 100 to the 3rd power. Number 8, my base will be -9, and we can see it's multiplied 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so my power is 6. Just like I said before, if I have a negative, keep it in parentheses. The reason for that, folks, is, I'm just going to get a different color, is that this right here actually means something else. Okay, so we don't want that. This is saying multiply -9 6 times. The one in the orange was saying multiply 9 6 times and then throw a negative out front. So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure we're multiplying -9 6 times. Okay? Any questions on this newer stuff? So our exponents, or up above, our writing of expressions? Okay, then here's what I would like you to do. I would like you, the next part is review. So I'm going to give you guys about, we have 10 minutes left of class here. So I'm going to give you guys about 5 minutes to work individually, maybe a little less on these problems. And then we're going to come back together and check these problems out together. So these are review. All right. So everybody go work on 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, and then we'll come on back. Okay? All right, guys. So we have about 5 minutes till the bell's going to ring for lunch. So I want to make sure we go through these together. So if you haven't finished, that's okay, because we're just going to do them together. If you can just double check on your end. All right. Thanks, Alishka. If everyone could mute themselves so that there's no background noise. Unless you're participating, then of course. So for number 9 here, we have 32, 29, 26, and 23. So hopefully we can see here we are definitely getting smaller. So we're either subtracting or dividing. In this case, we are subtracting. So we have a common difference, and it's of -3. We are subtracting 3 each time. So that'll give us 20, then 17, and then 14. How do we do? Good? All right. So the sentence there is that the sequence has a common difference I think that's you, Alyssa. Would you mind just muting yourself? Thanks. Okay. So the sequence has a common difference of -3 because we are subtracting 3. Our next one. What are we doing for our next one? Anyone? Number 10? Yes, very good. Jordan said we're going up by 2. Exactly. So again, another common difference, and it's of +2. So -4 plus 2 gives me -2. Add 2 again gives me 0. And add 2 again gives me 2. Okay, I'm just going to save time for a moment there for the sentence, but you guys can fill that in. The sequence would have a common difference of 2 because we add 2. All right, let's look at a couple order of operation problems. Okay, so let's go down to number 11. Number 11, we're going to follow PEMDAS. We do not have any parentheses, so we can skip that. We do have exponents. So we're going to do 3 squared first, which means 3 times 3, which is 9. Then I just bring down the other operations. Next, we have addition and multiplication. So if we look at PEMDAS, multiplication comes next. So we're going to take the 9 down, but we're going to actually do 4 times 5, which is 20. And then 9 plus 20 is 29. Okay. Let's look at 12. 12 says to do, PEMDAS says to do parentheses first, which we do have parentheses this time. So we're going to complete 36 divided by 4 first. 36 divided by 4 is 9. So we'll have 9, we'll bring down the squared, minus 2 to the 3rd power. From there, we do exponents. So we're going to complete both of these right now. So 9 squared means 9 times 9, which is 81, minus 2 to the 3rd. Remember, 2 to the 3rd means 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So we'll have an 8 here. Okay, and then 81 minus 8 gives me 73. What I would like you guys to do before or right for the last minute, if you haven't already done so, or right when you come back from lunch is that I want you to make sure you finish the sentence for number 10 and that you complete 13 and 14. Once you have those done, please try to scan with that PDF app, a scanner app, or take an image and upload those right onto Google Classroom.